We talked last week, Gronk, and we did some predictions on Futures Day with FanDuel, and you picked the Lions as your NFC North winner, and you picked them to win the Super Bowl. Did Micah entering the fray make you rethink anything?
It doesn't make me rethink anything. I think the Detroit Lions are a solid team and they're still a better team than the Green Bay Packers. But Micah Parsons is going to be a super speed bump, a super big speed bump for the Detroit Lions. And they're going to have to prepare differently for the Green Bay Packers defense now when they face them twice this year. He's a disruptive player. You got to pay attention to him. You got to change your game plans throughout the week and focus on Michael Parsons, because if you don't, he's going to come in there and he's going to stop that momentum on the offensive side of the ball, because he can break through the line at any single time with his explosiveness and with his quickness. So that's what changes for the Detroit Lions, is it's going to be that much harder now to win those games and to win the division, but I still think they pull it off.
A day ago, Adam Schefter gave like an update. I'm looking at it right now on the back injury. You had a back. I know you like had a disc issue, right?
Yes, I had three herniated discs. I had 3 back surgeries in my career. And all you got to do is rehab it. You got to rehab the crap out of it. You got to use all your core muscles. You got to use all your back muscles. And speaking of that, I threw out my back about 2 weeks ago. In the last 2 weeks, I've been rehabbing the crap out of it. And I'm back to 100% now again. So if you got to take care of it. Backs can always nag you if you don't, pay attention to it every single day and rehab it like you never rehabbed before. Take it to the next level. Backs can also just absolutely just torture you from your toes to your head, because it messes with your mental game as well if you have a back injury. But with Micah Parsons signed a $188 million deal, he's got to be out there week 1, because I've seen him out at practice. He's out there participating. He has to play week 1 for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, there's a lot of talk right now just on, and you're not a doctor, but you did you've been through physicals. You did have, injuries throughout your career. There's this idea that like the Packers got, and, Dallas knew, and now he has to get, so here's the news that Adam said. Packers debut on Sunday, obviously, is not in question, but that's happening. He's dealing with an L4, L5 facet joint sprain in his back, and he may have an epidural injection before the matchup. When you hear that, what do you think?
Well, I don't really know what a joint sprain is. Every time that my back was injured, it was L4, L5 as well. And it was when my disc was herniated. So my disc was sticking out and it was hitting my spinal cord, which then your spinal cord triggers all the neurons and all that good stuff, all that scientific wording. And then it shoots down into your legs, all the pain. And that's the worst thing to it's mentally draining, and also it makes you slow as a player. It makes your legs feel heavy. But I don't really know what a joint sprain is. So
did you ever have an epidural?
On that. An epidural actually takes down the inflammation of the disc, so it's not herniated and the inflammation goes away. So if this joint sprain, I'd never really heard of a joint sprain before. If it's just caused from inflammation, then the epidural will help tremendously for Micah Parsons.
So you've had an epidural like days before a game?
Yes, plenty of times, and it just takes away that inflammation that's in your disc, because your disc gets inflamed, and that's when the herniation starts, and that's when the pain starts going down your legs, and all the back pain starts hurting. And the epidural takes away instantly, within 24 hours, all that inflammation. It gives you a big relief. Sometimes it doesn't work, but majority of the times it works. But with Micah Parsons' situation, a joint sprain, I mean, it doesn't sound that serious, and it does sound like it's just caused from a little inflammation from what I'm just hearing and speculating. So that shall help tremendously for him, especially if he never had one before.
Do you think, I mean, they sound painful, these epidurals. I don't wish them upon anyone, I don't think. But do you think he's the DPOY? He's the favorite, I believe. Let's take a look at the odds over at our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Yep, plus 500 for him. Aidan's really interesting too, because I think he's going to come out swinging after missing so much time last year. Who you like?
Micah Parsons is going to be up there for talks of Defensive Player of the Year the whole entire year. because of just how special of a player he is. What I really like is his explosiveness. You don't really see guys that have that type of explosiveness in the league, and that's why he's once in a generation player. But I think it's going to be Aidan Hutchinson, his rival in the division, same position, basically defensive end, outside linebacker. But Aidan Hutchinson, he's going to come back with some vengeance. I mean, he was absolutely dominating last year. I love him as a player. I love him as a person. I just love the way that he works. He loves the game of football so much. And I feel like there's guys when they get a serious injury like Aidan Hutchinson got, and like when I went through serious injuries as well, you either fold or you come back as a better player. And I feel like Aidan Hutchinson is one of those guys that will come back as a better player coming back from that injury last year.
So he missed a lot of time, right? But he racked up 12 and a half sacks over his last 7 games played. Okay. So that was up, and I asked him, Gronk, I said, are you gunning for it? He never really gives a bite, but I thought I wasn't going to get anything out of him. But I asked him about Strahan's record. He goes, that's a goal. That's a real goal that I have. Now you sit next to Strahan on those Sundays. If he happens to creep up there to 22 and a half, what will that look like as Strahan's watching potentially?
I mean, Strahan loves, seeing other guys have a lot of success. That's the type of guy that he is. I'm sure he knows that records are meant to be broken as well. And Strahan was one of the best to do, if not one of the best pass rushers of all time. And that sack record is going to be very, very, very tough to beat. But I'm sure if Aidan Hutchinson gets close or eventually does beat Michael Strahan's sack record, I'm sure Michael Strahan would be super happy for Aidan Hutchinson. No doubt about that.
I had Hall of Famer Devin Hester, who will be one day helping welcome you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Gold Jacket vibes, and he's so in. He was so in on the Lions, and now he's a little less in on the Lions because he thinks the Ben Johnson thing is ginormous. I think just maybe from being around Chicago and seeing camp and all of that, you are so all in on the Lions. Like and you were last year too. You were so all in on the Lions. Can you talk me through from, being the future Hall of Famer, 4-time Super Bowl winning tight end that you are, like, why does it not matter that they lose Ben Johnson?
Well, last year I was all in, but obviously 14 guys going down, starting players, going out for the season hurts the Lions. You can't win a Super Bowl when you get that many injuries. I mean, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They had 21 of their 22 starters from week 1 playing the Super Bowl. And that's one of the main reasons why they were Super Bowl champions. Health is wealth. Health matters when it comes down for a long run in the playoffs. But with Ben Johnson leaving, I'm for sure know that he's going to elevate the Chicago Bears offense. I mean, if you watch some of the preseason games already, it already looks like that tremendously. But it is a big loss for the Detroit Lions. But I've been through losses like that. I was with Billy O'Brien my first 2 years in New England, and then he left, and then Josh McDaniels came in. But the Detroit Lions, it's going to be a loss losing Ben Johnson, but they're going to still be up there because they got the same core players on the offensive side of the ball, and they got that chemistry that they built over the last few years to go out there and win football games as players. Yes, coaches do a lot, but when you have that chemistry, when you have players that been together for a while, like the Lions on the offensive side of the ball, no matter who the offensive coordinator is, they're going to be set up nicely to go out there and compete because they already understand each other. So I see just a little drop off, but the Lions on offense are still going to be spectacular.
And they have just stars. Like Gibbs is just a star. 20 touchdowns. That is not a fluke. That is like a play caller, but that's a strong player. And you do have Amon-Ra, and you do have, like you're saying, Aidan Hutchinson's your DPOY. Like those are stars. And I think more in their new OC, familiar with the building, he'll come in there and sort of maybe even run the same kind of offense. Like how much he'll put his stamp on it. But like, I think you're right to think they have stability. And I'm really fascinated by the heartbreak factor. And it brings me to the Chiefs, but also, I mean, the Lions, Buffalo up there, like you've lost a Super Bowl. I'm doing this broadcast for YouTube with Cam Newton, who lost a Super Bowl. Like, what does that do to you? Like that first game back, just in a vacuum week 1. Is there a little extra something there, Gronk? Can you remember?
There's always a little extra something after you lose a Super Bowl. And it's actually the reason why I went back to the New England Patriots, because I was contemplating retirement when we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles that whole entire season. And then when we lost that Super Bowl, and I actually got traded that season, and I declined the trade and pretend to
Yeah.
retire just because I didn't want to go to Detroit. I wanted vengeance. I wanted to come back to New England and be a part of this organization again here for at least another year and prove that that loss to the Philadelphia Eagles was just a fluke and that we're going back to the Super Bowl and we're going to win it all. So I was extra hungry. I was so hungry, Kay, that I retired just so I wouldn't get traded so I can come back to the Patriots and win a Super Bowl. And that's what happened. That was the whole entire goal, was to get back to the Super Bowl after we lost to the Eagles, because I knew if we made it to the Super Bowl and won, I could walk away from the game and be totally satisfied. And that's what happened with my first retirement, which was really cool.
Wow, that's crazy.